Aloha, my love. So today I want to share with you the cheat codes to fast track your success, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's with your horse, in your body, in your business, whatever that looks like for you. From the inside out, especially as a deep feeler or empath, because something that I have gotten so pissed about in the past that used to drive me crazy is hearing other coaches and spiritual teachers and gurus say to act as if, to just decide and choose. And while there is some truth to that, what I want to say is because we are wired differently as deep feelers, that doesn't always work. As a matter of fact, it can actually backfire and make things worse. And it's because they left something out. And that is what I want to cover today before we dive into the secrets that are going to help you fast track your success, again, especially as a sensitive soul, as a deep feeler, as an empath. And so the best analogy that I have is this whole thing around positive affirmations, right? Where they tell you to think positive and to, write it in your journal and to make sure that your words are coming out positive. And while, again, I do believe that all of that is important, it is not the full picture. And I also believe, while it can work for some people to actually think positive and go ahead and take massive action as if, and you see them become like that overnight success or whatever the case may be, I also know from firsthand experience that when you are a deep feeler and you try to say something or write something like an affirmation and it doesn't feel true in your body, it backfires. It makes us feel like we're out of integrity. We know it's a lie on some level. We can feel that lack of energetic integrity, coherence, like your horse knows it and you know it, right? It's when you feel so deeply, if there is a part of you that is not on board, not fully on board and congruent with either what it is that you are saying or writing, or even this one, like the future self, right? Like everyone's all about the identity these days, and I am too, but again, there's a part they left out. They tell you to act from your future self. And that used to drive me crazy because while on one level it made sense and you could do a meditation or maybe a visualization or journal on it, I really couldn't understand why, for me, it wasn't landing in my body, and therefore it didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel true. And then that made me feel like an imposter. It made me feel like a fake, right? And that whole fake it till you make it, like it just didn't work. And what makes it worse is then you start believing or making it mean that there's something wrong with you, or you're not meant to have the thing or the success or whatever it is that you desire. And I don't want that for you. And the reason that pissed me off back in the day was because they left out the fact that if you're not feeling it in your body, if it doesn't feel aligned, if there's some part of you that is not in agreement, in coherence, that part of you that's putting on the brakes, right? Then it's not going to work. And again, it can make things worse. And when you do that over time, it actually can start to chip away at your confidence. And again, I know this from firsthand experience, which is why I knew that I had to create a way to let it fully land in my body, a way where it felt aligned and true in my being. Because otherwise I knew that for me, it wasn't going to work. And chances are, if you're watching this, and let me know if you resonate, then you are wired that way too. So the question then is, how do we allow it to fully land? How do we allow, whether it's a positive affirmation or declaration, whether it's acting from our future self, how do we make that fully land in our body so that from there we can take the aligned, inspired action and start creating momentum? And that is what I want to answer for you here today. So, one other piece I want to cover, and that is about this identity piece and why I do agree that our identity is actually creating our reality. So, like who we see ourselves as, our self-image, our self-confidence concept, right? Who we see ourselves to be is creating our reality. And what I know to be true is that when you make a decision from your current identity, your current reality, you are reinforcing more of the same. You're reinforcing your current and or old identity and reality, okay? However, when you make a decision from your higher self, from your future self, which can sometimes feel like a leap of faith, and I've done it many, many times over the years, especially as it relates to growing my business and the personal development industry. When you make that decision from your future self, from your higher self, you are opening up to a whole new world of possibility. And you are simultaneously, the moment you do that, you're actually shifting and sidestepping into your chosen timeline. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that when you make that decision, and if the things don't necessarily, work out in the way that you wanted, or you don't get the results or the outcome that you expected or wanted as a result of making that decision. That doesn't mean, again, that it wasn't meant for you or you did something wrong. It may have just been the next stepping stone on the path that's getting you closer, that is molding you and creating you, preparing you to be that woman, preparing you to be the woman who has the thing, who has manifested, attracted, received, achieved the thing. Again, that goal can be tangible. It can be with your body. It can be, in your relationship with your horse, whatever, okay? So, the first cheat code that I want to talk about to fast track your success, especially as a deep feeler, is going to be, excuse me, my allergies. Exactly what I was talking about is to make a decision, to make your choices from the level of your future self, your higher self, that woman who already accomplished or received or achieved the thing. So that is where the question is, and this is where it used to drive me crazy when I would hear it, because part of me was like, well, I don't feel it. I don't know how she feels. I don't know, like, how do you do that, right? How do you embody that? And while, yes, on some level, just simply taking the action can absolutely and will absolutely begin to shift things. Like I said, shift your identity, shift your shape shifting your reality. However, if there are parts of you that are still not on board, right, that is going to show up. And that is a fast way of, identifying or uncovering what they are so that you can then address those pieces and parts. However, the piece that I really want to shed light on is the frequency. So the mantra, the code, the divine feminine embodiment leadership code that I have been stepping into and cultivating the art and the practice over the past year or so, especially, a lot longer, but really like honing it in the past year or so, is frequency first. So what do I mean by that? Your frequency, your energy, your energetic vibration, who you are being, right, is the thing that we need to prioritize before we do the thing, before we do the action, before we do the strategy, before we show up in the arena with our horse. It's why I created a ritual a while back to prioritize my frequency, my energy, my presence, my identity, my self-concept, my vibration of who I was being before I stepped into the arena, right? Because I know that who I am being is way more important. It doesn't mean we still don't need the action. Doesn't mean that we still don't need horsemanship skills. Doesn't mean that we still don't need strategies and approaches and tools and skills. But what is your come from energy? That come from energy is everything, and it is the foundation and your most valuable asset or currency that is going to determine how well the action creates the results you want. Okay? So I gave the example of making a decision from your current identity, your current self, your old self, versus your future or your higher self. And if you even feel into that right now, let's say you have a decision right now. It could be a small decision like, what you're going to have for dinner, or it could be a bigger decision like, maybe, I don't know, an offer that you're going to put out if you're a businesswoman, okay? The woman, if you are doing it from the place of your current identity, your human self versus your higher self, her answer in her logical mind, based on her past experiences, which includes perceived failures, traumas, etc., is going to be very different from the answer of your higher self or your future self, who doesn't deal with all of that, right? She doesn't, she knows that she is limitless, that she is infinite potential, that she is the universe in a body, and that she can create, have anything that she wants from the inside out, and that her external reality doesn't mean anything. Okay? She knows that quantum field with limitless potential is literally, what is that? They say 99.9% of everything, and it's only the 1% that is actually collapsed into creating matter or form. So what you see right now in your reality is that less than 1%. Whereas the infinite possibility is over 99%. And I've heard this over the years from multiple mentors and coaches and spiritual teachers, and it never gets old. And so, if that is the case, can you feel the difference of the come from energy of the woman who's making decisions based on her 3D reality, on her current situation, versus the woman who's making it from her future self or higher self, the one with infinite possibility? Can you feel that shift? Okay? And so can you imagine if every time you made a decision, every time you showed up for your horse, every time you showed up to anything important, whether it was a meeting or a conversation or a client session or creating content like I'm doing with my videos, if you put your frequency first so that you shifted into the highest potential and your future next level self, before you made this decision, before you showed up, how different things would be, like how things would start to shift. And it can shift very quickly, depending on where you're at on the journey. And honestly, it can anyway at the speed of light if you are open to that possibility, okay? So frequency first is the first cheat code to fast track your success in terms of gaining traction and momentum and literally collapsing the timeline, stepping into, again, that woman who, your future self, who is already experienced, attracted, magnetized, received, achieved the thing, her vision, her goals, her desires, okay? So that's the first one. The second cheat code to fast track your success, especially as a deep feeler, and this one, honestly, I feel like for the empath, for the sensitive soul, for the deep feeler, really should be a non-negotiable. And this is your herd immunity. Like, I know you've heard this before, okay? The people you surround yourself with are a reflection of you. Like, you know this. But as a deep feeler, as an empath, it's even more critical because you are picking up and feeling all the things. You feel your horse's energy. You feel your family. You feel the neighbors. You feel the stranger in the supermarket. You feel the collective energy. You are feeling everything. And so if you are only spending time, I'm not saying you have to cut them out of your life, but if you're only spending time with the people who know the old you, okay, and are projecting that onto you, right, and maybe are not exactly open to your vision and your calling, and maybe they're well-meaning, but they really don't get it, and they're trying to protect you, and they're naysaying, or whatever the case may be, that energy, you're going to pick up on that energy. You are going to feel it. You're going to, integrate it, internalize it. And that's going to affect, again, who you are being, especially when you're around them and depending how much time you are around them, right? You are going to, as a default, perhaps start dimming your light, perhaps not sharing your truth, perhaps not feel like you can be fully expressed or authentically you because you don't know what they're going to say and you don't want to be judged and all the things, right? Okay? So, if that is the case, and again, I'm not saying, every situation is going to be different. I'm not saying you need to cut them all out of your life, but having the discernment and the boundaries around the amount of time, energy, etc. that you are investing and or sharing space with them, right? That gets to be up to you and what feels aligned. And so when you put yourself in the room, and this is really like such a power move, and I've done it multiple times over the years with different masterminds and mentorship. And every time I've done it, I know that I've had a level up, okay? And again, maybe in some cases, the specific results that I thought I was going to have from that particular mastermind or program didn't actually look like what I thought it would. But regardless, I still got exactly what I needed to help propel me and lift me and catapult me to the next level of my identity. And that woman that I know that I came here to be, who was already within me, but I was able to, in making those moves, start to shed and dissolve and dismantle those other layers of the old self that were not aligned, that were not serving, and not aligned with the new vision, the new reality, the new identity. Okay? And like I said, I truly believe that with the empath, with the deep feeler, not only do you obviously want to be discerning around the communities and the people that you spend your time with, okay? And there's also the other thing, and I've been guilty of this too, where you isolate and you're the lone wolf because you don't trust anyone, which is the one extreme, right? That major hermit mode. And again, I've been guilty of that, in certain seasons and cycles, and sometimes there's a place for that too, so you have that self-reflection. However, we can't really create or co-create and connect and collaborate and, do that like in isolation, okay? And especially in the times we're in and, where it's really all about connection and collaboration, and that is in many ways the new currency. So when you consciously, intentionally get yourself in the room, this can be virtually, again, in an online community group, mastermind, it can be, locally in a like-minded group, whatever it looks like for you. But when you put yourself in the room with more like-minded souls who are also on the move, on the rise, right, you will by osmosis get your divine dose of herd immunity and start shifting your energy. You can't help but not, right? You see, this person's doing that, and oh my God, if she can do it, I can do it too. Like, it begins to inspire you and empower you and become the norm. It becomes the default, instead of when you're around people who don't believe or aren't aligned with your specific goals and visions. It's not like everything has to be the same, but again, that similar path of like-minded vision and calling, it's only going to build, right? I love that saying. For years I've been saying it, when two or more come together, it is done, which is why I have, over the past, I've been involved in the coaching industry, immersed as both a client and, a coach or mentor, officially since around 2012, first time as a client, when I hired my first coach, Dr. Lissa Rankin, who is the author of Mind Over Medicine. And, I've been addicted and obsessed since with the whole coaching industry and mentorship and what it stands for. And while there are things I believe that are evolving and need to change, I still very firmly believe in and continue to invest in aligned mentorship programs, communities, etc., because I know how important that is for me to put myself in the room, right? Again, herd immunity. And that is the fast track, that is the cheat code to actually help you level up and collapse time and start creating and identifying with this next level and your new identity. And you get to, like, just think about it, you know, when you go around your family and the people, again, who know you from your past, it's kind of like a default to kind of slip back into that old you, right? Whereas when you're around a new group of people, first of all, you get to, like, there's no history, there's no, like, backdrop, whatever you want to call that. I don't know what the right word is, but you get to show up, like, as the new true you, and whoever you truly feel wants to be expressed authentically in the moment. You don't have to worry about, you know, the past, if that makes sense. It's like a fresh slate almost. And yes, there can be, you know, depending on your past, maybe you have some fears of judgment or, you know, visibility or whatever that may be, and that's a whole other conversation. However, I truly, again, believe in it being non-negotiable for the deep feeler or the empath to find aligned groups, communities, rooms to put themselves in that are going to help them rise, help them quantum leap, help them unlock their greatest potential. And I know that because I've done that over and over and over again over the years, again, some of them turned out to be aligned, others not so much. It's all part of the process. You kiss a few frogs, you learn a few lessons, it's all good. But I know that I wouldn't be here today even making this video and showing up at the level that I have been around my mission and my soul's work and all the things, okay? So, quick recap. Frequency first, who you are being is the priority, so that self-care, that raising your vibration and your frequency, that doing whatever it takes to help you shift your energy into the vibration and the frequency of your higher self, of your future self. And like I mentioned earlier, as a deep feeler, you want practices that aren't just mindset and affirmations. You want embodiment practices that are going to allow it to fully land in your body if you want to feel the energetic coherence, right? That the horses are always guiding us to create and connect with, right? In terms of being congruent and in the present moment. And so that is the first piece, is prioritizing your frequency first, so that when you show up with your horse or any other part of life, you are showing up as that next level, that your come from energy is going to be the best that it can be, and unlocking your highest potential at any given moment. And, you know, I want to also bring in the self-care and the radical self-love piece, because as women and sensitives and deep feelers, when we don't prioritize that self-care and that self-love, and the embodiment work for me is the self-care, is the self-love, like learning how to live in and fully land in your body, learning how to love, to live in and love your body, right, as your sacred body temple. I mean, again, that is a non-negotiable. It is also the reason that I attribute to enjoying the level of health and vitality that I do now, that a few decades ago was literally non-existent. And so that is that first piece, frequency first. And then the second one, which supports your frequency, is to put yourself in spaces and places and rooms and environments and communities that are aligned with that frequency, that future self, that higher self that you know that you came here to be, okay? So those two are just absolutely cheat codes to fast track your success as a sensitive soul, because when we don't have that, things are going to happen more slowly, as I shared earlier. And maybe you can relate when you try to do the positive affirmations, the act as if, the fake it till you make it, that doesn't work for us. It doesn't fly because we don't feel it fully landing in our body, in our being, in ourselves. And if you want to experience the feeling of having the shift, that energetic frequency shift into your future self, into that woman who is already her, that woman who has already manifested, magnetized, received, and achieved the goals that are on your heart right now, okay? She knows the way. She knows the way, and she is the way. She is the portal, okay? And if you want to step into her, if you want to step into that portal and accelerate the process, my love, this is the secret sauce. And if this resonates with you, I want to let you know about my brand new Already Her Accelerator. It is a 30-day body, mind, and soul recalibration to that woman within, to ultimately unleash her and set her free. And there, in doing so, began that collapsing of your timelines and that shape-shifting of your reality, which can't help but happen when you shift the inside, right? Because we know so within, so without. And the last piece that I'm going to say with that, which I'm over the moon excited about, because August is not only the month of my solar return, it is an 8 universal month in numerology, which means the golden infinity symbol, which means infinite possibility, abundance, leadership, empowerment. And because it's my 62nd solar return, which of course is another 8 when we add the 6 and 2 together, or reduce it, as they say in numerology, I'm just over the moon because I can already feel, I've been riding the wave here over the past several months, and everything feels like it's coming to a head in the most magical way. And August, really the portal of abundance, and again, infinity, right? Like golden infinity portal, like need I say more? Literally, we're going to have those energetic frequencies supporting us in the ethers, right, in the cosmos. And then I am going to be riding with you, because I'm ready for my next level. There's always another level, right? And I want to share with you what has been collapsing time for me at the speed of light over the past several months, especially having me manifesting magic, miracles, and momentum like so fast in some ways, and some days I can barely keep up. And all I want to say is like there's part of me that's like hasn't even integrated all of the shifts and the magic and momentum that's been happening, but I can't not share it with you. And that's why I want to invite you to come with me in August for a 30-day experience that has the potential to change your life. So all the info will be down below. If you received value today, let me know your greatest takeaway down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share the love with a friend. And yeah, until next time, I love you. Ciao for now. Namaste.